Tonight, Groote Eylandt and coastal communities across the top end take shelter as tropical cyclone Narelle heads for the NT. The top end prepares for heavy rain and flash flooding in already saturated river catchments. A push to improve emergency warning systems from previously flood-affected communities. Good evening, I'm Laetitia Lemke. This is ABC News Northern Territory. Also tonight, the Prime Minister defends Australia's response to the war in the Middle East as Donald Trump takes another swing at key allies. And the woman behind the Welcome to Country, Rhoda Roberts, dies at the age of 66. Communities along the Northern Territory's eastern coastline are feeling the impacts of Tropical Cyclone Narelle tonight, with a fast-moving system expected to make landfall as a Category 3 storm in the early hours of Sunday around 1 o'clock this morning. The cyclone destructive core is tracking just north of Groote Eylandt, where residents are taking shelter, while hundreds of people from Arnhem Land's coastal communities, including Numbulwar, have been evacuated to Darwin.
The beginning of destructive winds and huge tides on the northern coast of Groote Eylandt as Cyclone Narelle approaches. Communities there, the first of dozens across Arnhem Land and the top end, to feel its impact in the coming days.
We do expect to see stronger impacts on the southern side of this system. So Groote Eylandt is still in for a fairly rough 24 hours.
Expected to make landfall early on Sunday as a Category 2 or 3 system, Narelle is forecast to produce similar conditions to those seen in Cape York this week, with isolated rainfalls of more than 300 millimetres and destructive winds of up to 185 kilometres per hour.
Further inland, as the system weakens to a tropical low during Sunday, we can expect again that heavy rain with locally intense rain, squally winds all the way across the western top end, even including Darwin. Everywhere within that severe weather warning, which is most of the top end, should be prepared for very intense rainfall, again, that could fall within a very short period of time and have quite sudden impacts.
In Narelle's path on the Territory's east coast, residents from homeland communities have been relocating out of harm's way.
Just over the last 24 hours, we've evacuated about 108 people in total. That was largely done yesterday in a 6-hour window.
To the south, the coastal community of Numbulwar was evacuated this week, with around 500 residents sheltering at a Darwin high school.
It's a really, really difficult time for people and it's not over yet. So our thoughts and prayers are with everyone. We are well prepared and people are well supported.
Narelle is forecast to be a Category 1 system when it hits the community of Bullman on Sunday afternoon. The warning area for the cyclone spans thousands of square kilometres along the Northern Territory east coast, with communities from Ramingining in the north to Borroloola in the south urged to take shelter and prepare for heavy rainfall. Oliver Chaseling, ABC News.
With us in the studio is the Northern Territory's Police Commissioner, Martin Dole. Martin Dole, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The cyclone is impacting the eastern top end, some of the Northern Territory's most remote communities. How well prepared are they for this cyclone?
Yeah, thank you. Look, overall, we're really happy with the strong level of preparedness across the top end of the Northern Territory. Communities have listened to us. They've enacted safety plans, they've made preparations to their properties, they have supplies in place and they know where they're going to shelter. But I think it's important to note that it's not only the communities that are prepared, it's the emergency services as well. So we've been in a high-risk weather season since November last year. This is our 7th event in the Northern Territory. And we actually had an emergency operations centre already stood up in relation to flooding. So we were very quickly able to pivot and turn our minds to planning and preparation for the impending impact of Tropical Cyclone Narelle on the Northern Territory.
Yeah, the impacts are already being felt along some of those communities. What's your key message to people who've stayed in the path? Yeah,
my message is simple. Stay inside, stay safe, don't take unnecessary risks and listen to the emergency broadcasting so that you know when it is safe. What I don't want to see is people out there putting themselves in situations where they're putting their lives at risk and making emergency services have to put themselves at risk to rescue them. In the last few weeks, we've seen some spectacular footage of some rescues that have occurred across the Northern Territory. And every time that occurs, our emergency service personnel are putting themselves at risk. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see people take unnecessary risks and put our workers and employees at risk of having to risk their lives to save people unnecessarily.
Now, as that system crosses the coast and moves across the top end, it's going to dump a lot of rain on an already saturated landscape. What are we expecting and what measures are in place for flood risk communities like Katherine that have already been inundated this season?
Yeah, thank you. Look, the message has been pretty clear. The top end is absolutely saturated. All of the catchments are full. Runoff is going to be swift. Rivers are going to react and rise very quickly. And Katherine basically had a trial run for what they might expect just over a week and a half ago. So there is predictions that the Katherine catchment is going to receive a significant amount of rainfall, and the river is going to respond quickly and rapidly. What I can say is we're well prepared for that. We've pre-deployed resources to Katherine. We're more prepared than we were 2 weeks ago because we saw what's potentially likely to occur. The people in Katherine are very aware of what to expect, and it's not about being alarmed, it's about being prepared, and we've got plenty of people down there to help people prepare.
Commissioner Dole, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Major flood warnings are in place for river catchments across the top end, including the already saturated Katherine River, Daly River and the Waterhouse River near Beswick. Reporter Olivana Lathouris is in Katherine tonight, where residents are once again preparing for the river to inundate their town. Olivana, how has the community of Katherine been preparing?
Yeah, good evening, Laetitia. It has been an absolutely mammoth effort today to prepare the people of Katherine for whatever Cyclone Narelle throws at them over the next 24 hours, whether that be sandbagging, preparing businesses, homes. Where I am tonight is at the Katherine Fire Station, and what you might be able to see behind me is a whole lot of supplies and gear and equipment, which is going to be trucked a little way down the road overnight for the Australian Medical Assistance Team, or AUSMAT, to set up essentially an entire hospital. Now, this is a capability that is deployed and has been deployed in years gone by to major overseas disasters. It's going to be the first time in Australian history that this capability is being deployed to this scale in Australia. So, Laetitia, it's a really significant operation underway for the community of Katherine. I'm going to bring in the local member for Katherine now, Joe Hersey. Minister, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, how significant is this operation underway tonight for the community here?
Yeah, this is extremely significant. The fact that it was, the first time in Australia that we have it here in Katherine. This is a team that's just straight down from Darwin. They came at 1 a.m. this morning with the support of Trent and Brendan DeWith with their forklifts from Rod and Rifle. With Rob, they've unloaded the trucks, and as you said, they'll set that up in the old Nighthawk yards here in Katherine.
And, how critical is the next 24 hours for the community here, having been through what they've been through over the last fortnight?
It's extremely critical, to wait and see what unfolds. For people that do need medical attention before the field hospital sets up, they still can go to the Katherine Hospital, and the ED is open there until, we will let people know tomorrow what time that sort of transfers over to go from the emergency department at the Katherine Hospital to the field hospital in Chardon Street.
Is there any last-minute sort of information that you need to provide to the community as they sort of bunker down for the night?
Yeah, so I'd just like to, the NTES yard will be open tomorrow for sandbags still from 8 till 4, but just some important information up to date. The communities of Groote Island, Weemole, Bullman, Nhulunbuy and Yirrkala, they have been told to seek shelter immediately. Do not leave the shelter until somebody comes and lets them know. They've also got an emergency alert sent out in language to all those communities. So bunker down, and I hope, just hoping and praying for the best for all those people.
Thank you so much for joining us, Minister. Laetitia, as you heard, a really critical 24 hours for the community here. Here's how many people in the community spent the day preparing. Up early and straight to work in preparation for Cyclone Narelle. Many hands making lighter work of sandbagging efforts, more than 8,000 sent out across Katherine in the last 2 days.
It's a full-on operation we've got going here. We've got 3 forklifts going non-stop.
Just yesterday, I'm told 4,000 sandbags were sent out to the community 110 tonnes of sand was used. As I mentioned, we had a huge team of volunteers, spontaneous volunteers from the community. It's been a huge effort.
Residents lining up, making sure they're ready for round 2 of flooding.
I think we're a little bit more prepared this time. I think last time everyone got caught out.
We are a little bit scared, but now we are ready to defend ourselves, because we have to learn from the other flood.
How are you feeling about it?
A little bit shaky at the moment because we went through that flood the other week.
As severe tropical cyclone Narelle weakens into a tropical low on Sunday, heavy rain, including locally intense rainfall totals above 300 millimetres, have been forecast all across the western top end.
We are expecting moderate to major flood levels in Katherine come Monday, so the community is obviously still reeling over last week's flood and are now in full-blown preparation mode.
Business owners banding together to feed hundreds of people sheltering at evacuation centres.
800 plus mouths to feed for 4 or 5 sort of goes. We've got to get it ready, but we got 5.5 tonne of meat in this morning.
We want to make sure that people feel like they're getting a decent feed.
As the window to prepare closes, many are still reeling from flooding less than a fortnight ago. This family business lost $20,000 worth of stock.
It's been devastating, not just for ourselves, but for everyone, residents, businesses.
The Katherine River has been falling today, but the community here knows all too well just how quickly it could rise again. Residents are being warned major flooding above 17.5 metres could occur from tomorrow, but it's not yet known what height the river could rise to. A couple of metres the difference between homes and businesses being spared or inundated once again.
There's definitely a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic, which is to be expected because obviously it's a lot of uncertainty.
Uncertainty about what Cyclone Narelle could bring, but the Katherine community say they'll be ready.
Prepare for the worst, and hope for the best.
Olivana Lathouris, ABC News, Katherine.
Northern Territory and federal government agencies say they're planning to improve the systems for warning communities about potentially devastating floods. It follows multiple complaints from communities across the flood-hit Katherine, Daly and Darwin River areas that they didn't get enough warning to get out of homes safely and save personal belongings.
Warnings days out from Cyclone Narelle.
People in the top end should begin to prepare now.
But Katherine, Daly and Darwin River communities, still suffering devastation from flooding 2 weeks ago, say their warnings were too little too late.
We had to swim out.
The Bureau of Meteorology issued a storm warning for Darwin River a few hours before houses started to flood. For Nauru, Daly River and Katherine, it issued phone app, online and media alerts about major flooding on the mornings they started to flood. It had advised watching the Daly River and of minor Katherine flooding a day before.
When we have these weather systems that just have incredibly high amounts of rainfall, the conditions can change very quickly.
The Bureau's Katherine weather radar also failed 4 days prior, exactly when it was needed most. Katherine veterans watching river and rain gauges could see major flooding coming before any official warnings and shared that view on social media.
Let me show you the bridge here quickly too.
I immediately knew that we were in trouble. I got the sandbagging done in this shop here as early as we possibly could, and when we done it, we looking at each other thinking, are we the only idiots that are doing this?
Hydrologists could also see the coming danger.
The issue isn't with the availability of data. People were definitely talking about this ahead of time.
It's prompted calls for more timely public communication in future.
We needed to respond quicker on the ground and got the message out to people a lot more and a lot louder.
And suggestions of a range of methods.
We'd certainly like to see technology that gives us the most warning that is possible, whether it's emails or phone calls or text messages.
After the 98 flood, they installed sirens along the riverbank.
The NT government says it's heard the concerns and it's implementing a new federal government mobile phone emergency alert system later this year.
And that is looking to be a consistent messaging system countrywide.
The Weather Bureau told the ABC it's undertaking a major update of its flood warning and forecasting capabilities and will upgrade around 25 NT gauges over the next few years. Jane Barton, ABC News.
The Prime Minister has rejected claims made by Donald Trump that Australia refused to help the US in its war with Iran. The US President has again blasted allies for not rushing to keep open the Strait of Hormuz. At the same time, he suggested the war could soon end. Here's political reporter Sarah Temevska.
The largest gathering of international warships in more than a decade sailing into the safety of Sydney Harbour as the US President demands support in the danger zone known as the Strait of Hormuz.
NATO could help us, but they so far haven't had the courage to do so, and others could help us.
Even as the UK grants the US access to its military bases.
They should have acted a lot faster.
Taking aim at Australia too, Donald Trump claiming requests for help in the war with Iran were refused.
We should get involved, and I was a little bit surprised that they said no, because we always say yes to them.
I'm not conscious of that at all.
The Prime Minister unfazed by the President's grilling.
We have done what we have been asked to do.
Reference to the deployment of an E-7 Wedgetail, missiles and 85 defence personnel to the UAE.
And it is making a significant contribution in respect of the defence of the Gulf states.
Australia today joining a broad statement issued by allies on Thursday, expressing readiness to contribute to appropriate efforts to ensure safe passage through the strait.
We want lower prices at the Bowser, and the key is to open up the straits.
As the International Energy Agency warns, the world is facing
the greatest global energy security challenge in the history.
With the Strait of Hormuz still effectively shut, Asian markets critical to Australia's supply of liquid fuels are looking for new sources of crude oil, including from Russia. The government says it doesn't want the rogue state to benefit from the war. But with Australia's shipments of fuel beyond April uncertain, it may have little choice.
We remain a secure supplier of energy, and we expect those secure supplies to come our way as well.
Booking in talks with the leaders of Singapore, Korea and Japan as the crisis continues. Sarah Temevska, ABC News, Canberra.
Labor has won re-election in South Australia while One Nation's vote has surged to historically high levels. The ABC has projected Premier Peter Malinauskas has been elected for a second term in office. The Liberal vote has fallen significantly, with the party behind One Nation on primary votes early in the count. A short time ago, One Nation's primary vote sat at nearly 24%, ahead of the Liberal Party on 19%. The election was tipped as One Nation's first big ballot box test since its sharp rise in national opinion polls late last year. A warning, the following contains images and names of people who have died with permission. A giant in the Australian arts scene and the woman credited with coining the term welcome to country. Rhoda Roberts AO has died of cancer at the age of 66. A Widjabul woman of the Bundjalung Nation. She was SBS's inaugural Elder in Residence. Indigenous Affairs reporter Stephanie Bolchi reflects on her achievements.
Rhoda Roberts was a creative director and cultural advisor to some of Australia's biggest festivals and celebrations, including Sydney's New Year's Eve fireworks.
I drew on a number of cultures around the world, but specifically Aboriginal culture because I happen to be a blackfella.
Leading up to the Sydney Olympics, she elevated Indigenous culture through the Festival of Dreaming and the iconic opening ceremony.
I'm celebrating something that's quite unique. It's incredibly powerful.
The Widjabul woman of the Bundjalung Nation grew up in Lismore.
I said I wanted to be a writer, a journalist, and I was told I was a dreamer.
Good evening, I'm Rhoda Roberts.
I became known as the first Aboriginal person to host a primetime current affairs program.
There's nothing better than a story with a positive ending.
Rhoda moved from journalism to the arts and was credited with coining the term welcome to country.
Makes people feel special. It's good manners.
The first head of Indigenous programming at the Sydney Opera House, in the role for nearly a decade.
I'm really proud of you because I know our old people possibly wouldn't have believed that this would be happening now. Combined with a dance.
Acting was also a passion, and despite her diagnosis, she returned to the Opera House to perform her one-woman show, My Cousin Frank.
Yeah, well, clearly I inherited the preaching side of the family.
Rhoda Roberts has left an indelible mark on Australia's arts scene. The war in Iran has reignited cost of living concerns. For tonight's special report, the ABC asked ordinary Australians what they'd given up to make ends meet as pressure on household budgets tighten. Food and groceries topped the survey.
In the outer western suburbs of Brisbane, Kieran Murphy is looking closer than ever at his grocery budget.
Running my expenses through AI, it became really obvious that those, $20, $30 shops, however frequent they are definitely not stretching as far as they used to. It's never a position I thought I'd really end up in.
With a steady job and what he considered a good income, Kieran thought he was doing okay.
And now here I am, early 40s, and got the wage I have and going, this isn't enough.
For many families feeling the pinch, food is first to go.
20% of the household's budget cost goes to housing. The next 15% goes to food. So the only thing that the households can feel that they can move is in the food.
But those trying to find a better deal are being warned not to take discounts at face value.
They're faced with this plethora of price tags saying things like new or prices down that allude to this discount that they might not actually be getting.
Inflation has eased from the post-pandemic highs of 7.8% to 3.8% now. But the war in Iran has reignited inflation pressures. Skyrocketing fuel prices set to impact everything from how we grow food to how we transport it. Because the biggest driver of food prices is the cost of producing it. And with diesel and fertiliser among the biggest inputs, any disruption to shipping routes threatens to drive those costs higher.
We've got fuel at the moment, but it took us 2 weeks to get that fuel. And the big thing was the price shock when we first booked the fuel. Then I think it was $1.75 on farm. And then the next time it was $2.85. Yeah, it's definitely a problem you don't need to have this late and this close to the sowing window.
Experts say now is the time to try to boost Australia's productivity.
Go out and talk to the farmers with the emergence of AI, technology and so on. How can we further get the cost down? Because this is clearly Australia's comparative advantage.
For many households, it can't come soon enough. Even with 3 working adults, food costs are a constant worry in Amanda Mitchell's home.
Pre-COVID, I would estimate that my grocery bill for the 3 of us would have been around the $250 mark a fortnight. It's now up to $400 a fortnight. What happens if I lost my job? That's terrifying to think of.
Very little buffer if something goes wrong. Nathan Morris, ABC News.
Donald Trump says he's considering winding down military efforts in the Middle East, but says he won't seek a ceasefire with Iran. The White House is making plans for the possibility of sending additional troops and warships to the region.
A barrage of missiles blasts off from a secret location as the Middle East crisis deepens. Iran launching fresh attacks on Israel while calling for unity with its neighbours.
We do not intend to create divisions with Muslim countries. We are not seeking conflict or war with Islamic nations.
Weeks after his rise to power, Iran's new supreme leader still hasn't been seen in public. A statement read out on state media, threatening to expand attacks to the west.
Resorts, recreational areas and tourist and leisure centres around the world will no longer be safe.
Donald Trump says he is considering winding down military efforts, announcing he's close to meeting his objectives, including the protection of allies such as Israel, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and others. But at the same time, he's confirming the deployment of thousands more Marines and ruling out a truce.
I don't want to do a ceasefire. You don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side.
Iran's retaliation continues, with an explosion ricocheting through Jerusalem's Old City, smoke billowing from the area near sacred sites.
I looked up and suddenly I saw a cannonball just falling above me.
Israel's military is as determined as ever to destroy Iran's leadership.
Anywhere they hide, we will find them and eliminate them.
Further north, reprisal strikes between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon will soon enter their fourth week. The number of people sheltering at this school in Beirut has almost doubled to 800. Charities here are providing the essentials and some comic relief.
Even if it is a brief distraction, it's certainly a welcome one for these kids. Just a couple of hours ago, before this performance started, Israeli fighter jets were flying over Beirut, breaking the sound barrier, rattling this city once more.
We're standing here, nothing is moving us. We're not leaving Lebanon.
Defiance, their answer to this crisis. Matthew Doran, ABC News, Beirut.
In the AFL, Gold Coast and Richmond are sweating on scan results after 3 players were injured during the Suns' 68-point win over the Tigers.
Gold Coast might be sitting on top of the ladder, but ice on the hamstring of one of their best is enough to cool the red-hot Suns.
Christian Petrarca on a full stretch, he just gets tackled there.
Christian Petrarca is almost certain to miss several weeks, meaning a date with his former side, the Demons, in 15 days is unlikely.
We'll just wait till our doctors can assess it, and then we'll figure out what the correct decision will be.
Still, Gold Coast banked a third win on the trot with a forward fired up.
And football might have a new king by the end of this season. He's got 7, equal career high.
The young Tiger Cubs are all fight in the first half.
Campbell goal. They're in front.
But when Richmond forward Tom Lynch hurt his hamstring, the momentum flipped.
I think he's hurt his left hammy before. I was talking to him at half-time. He's never done his right, so hopefully that's only a small one.
The Suns soaring home, kicking 9 goals to the Tigers' 4 in the second half. A 1-goal win over the Crows in Adelaide, and the Western Bulldogs are proving they're all bark and all bite.
It's a win to build a dream on. First Brisbane, now Adelaide.
The Crows booted 5 unanswered goals, closing in on an 18-point margin. And if there was any man to really spoil the Dogs' party...
Rankin makes it up on the spot.
Isaac Rankin got his moment as he returned from a full-game suspension. But the Dogs had other ideas, and with 3 minutes left on the clock...
Baker set the tone early, might have closed it late.
Take those chocolates and fly back with a contentment about the result, but there's a lot to work on.
The Bulldogs pulling off a 31-point comeback, now 3-0 to start a perfect season. Alexia Pesce, ABC News.
Now to the weather, and tonight's photograph is called Wet Outside the Window, and it certainly is in the top end. We had early morning storms across Darwin City, redeveloping during the afternoon from the south. A fine though cloudy day in Alice, up to 31 degrees in Darwin, 33 degrees in Jabiru today, 26 in Nhulunbuy, up to 35 in Katherine. Alice Springs reached 30 degrees, Tennant Creek 34. The satellite images show severe tropical cyclone Narelle spinning in the Gulf near the eastern top-end coast. That system will continue impacting eastern top-end communities as it tracks westwards. It's expected to weaken into a low as it moves across the top end over the next few days with heavy falls. Interstate tomorrow, rain in Sydney and Brisbane, sunny in Adelaide, cloudy in Perth. A sunny 30 in Alice Springs and showers in Tennant Creek and Elliot 34. Storms across the eastern top end with gale force winds from Cyclone Narelle impacting as far inland as Bullman, and wet weather in the west, 29 in Darwin and Warramunga tomorrow. A cyclone emergency warning extends from Nhulunbuy to the Nathan River, including Numbulwar, Aliangula and Gapawiak, extending inland to Ramingining, Bullman and Nooka. Residents in those areas should take shelter now. Cyclone watch extends from the King George River mouth to the WA-NT border. Most of the top end is under a flood watch with flood warnings current for the Katherine, Lower Daly, Upper Adelaide and Waterhouse rivers. And the morning high tide over 7.7 metres after 8, with seas to 1.5 metres. The morning sunrise is about 10 to 7 and sunset will be about 7 at night. The extended forecast has showers and storms easing midweek in Darwin. In Alice Springs, mostly sunny with a cool change late in the week. And that's ABC News for this Saturday night. Thanks for your company. Good night.